Welcome to this short learning video on eating well at work. My name's Kath Leggett. Many neurodivergent employees, particularly those who are autistic, have ADHD or are ADHD, have sensory sensitivities, which means they can encounter challenges in eating well at work. Let's recap some of the main senses now. Balance, light, smell, sound, taste, which is closely linked to smell, touch, body sensations, such as feeling the need to go to the toilet or recognizing when you're hungry and thirsty, and depth perception, which is being able to tell how near or far away an object is from you. Someone can be under or oversensitive to any sensory input. There's another condition that anyone can have called alexithymia, where you struggle to recognise and describe your feelings to others. Alexithymia is much more common in the autistic community and can mean that you have extra challenges reaching out to others for support or trying to explain how you feel and what you need. Those with sensory sensitivities can be sensitive to one or many kinds of sensory input. But even within one sense, such as sound, someone might be oversensitive to some sounds and need to avoid them, and undersensitive to other sounds and seek them out to remain calm, relaxed and focused. Many people with sensory sensitivities also experience fluctuating or changing levels of sensitivity depending on a number of other factors. This can be to do with whether you feel well or you're experiencing an illness, whether you've slept well, or whether you're worried or feeling overwhelmed or anxious. So what is ARFID and why is it important for you to know something about ARFID so that you can better support your colleagues in the workplace? There are some current studies that show that it may be more than 1 in 10 people affected by this disorder. ARFID is avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, and those that are affected have severe and persistent restrictions that lead to serious physical, emotional, and social impacts. It's also important to recognise the difference between ARFID and simple picky eating. If you consider the severity of ARFID, as we said, it's about severe and persistent food avoidance and/or restriction. It's not mild to moderate food preferences, which many people experience from time to time. Also, it's important to know about some of the health impacts of this condition. It can lead to significant weight loss for children, poor growth due to nutritional deficiencies. Some people may rely on nutritional supplements and in extreme cases may even need tube feeding. The underlying cause, particularly for autistic people, is that there may have been an experience of choking or vomiting in the past, and an intense anxiety and fear arises around this previous experience. As we've already talked about, sensory sensitivities can play a big part, the texture, smell, and even the appearance of food. Some autistic people also experience a condition called interoception difficulties. This is where you don't necessarily recognise some body sensations, including when you feel hungry. For other autistic people, it's the need for familiarity and feeling really overwhelmed at the thought of eating new foods. These underlying causes are not related to mild or insignificant food preferences. ARFID is also about the duration that this condition affects a person. It's what we call a chronic condition that doesn't resolve on its own without professional support. And it often persists into adolescence and adulthood and beyond. It's not a phase that resolves spontaneously or is grown out of. And finally, it's really important to know about the social impact that this condition has on people with it. It can cause significant social isolation, as individuals with this condition may avoid social gatherings, find it really difficult or avoid altogether work lunches and social occasions, which are often centred around food and eating together, or dating due to food-related anxiety. ARFID is not a minor inconvenience and frustration for others or the person affected. So how can you support your colleagues? First of all, check with colleagues before offering food-based rewards and celebrations, and provide alternatives where they're needed. If you bring food in to share it, leave it out of sight, in a place for people to take if they like, with no pressure. Structure social events to include non-eating times and at non-eating venues. And if there is a section of the event that includes eating, provide menus well in advance, as well as details of those locations and venues ahead of the time, so that the person can better plan. Embed and strictly follow considerate office rules, such as no strong smelling foods to be heated in the kitchen microwave or eaten in common work areas. Do respect separate, sensory neutral breakout spaces for those that need to eat privately without being overlooked. This is really common for people with sensory sensitivities to food and ARFID. And finally, this is probably the most important thing you can remember to support your colleagues. Some colleagues may be happy to tell you that they have difficulties with eating food in front of others or during the workday. They may even tell you that they have ARFID. For other colleagues, they may find it more difficult to share helpful information with other people about their differences and their challenges. So, consciously practice challenging your own assumptions. Don't judge. If somebody doesn't take food that you offer them or doesn't want to eat lunch with their colleagues, don't make assumptions about why this might be. Be accepting of difference. And our final thought, and not just on this topic and not just for neurodivergent colleagues, but to support everybody, is you can ask, how do I know if you can't tell me when you're struggling and need support? What will I see or hear from you? And then when you notice that, what's the best way to support the person?